Welcome to a special edition we're calling the Discernment Drop.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, we're tearing apart policy papers or government reports,
Mm-hmm.
but today we're using maybe the sharpest tool there is, pure, unfiltered satire.
It's a really unusual mission for us, but I think it's a vital one. We're looking at just one single, incredibly provocative source.
Just one.
It's excerpts from a mockumentary voiceover. The title is A Swiftian Satire, I Now Identify as a Cannibal.
And the author is Pastor John L. Widdifield.
Mm.
We'll just call him Pastor John from here on out.
Right. And our goal here isn't just to laugh, even though it's pretty funny. We're trying to pull out the really cynical social critiques he's buried under all this absurdity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the setup is this somber PBS-style documentary that gets completely hijacked by the narrators.
Yeah.
Let's call them lifestyle choices.
Yeah, and it's set in 2025, in a culture where, as he argues, identity has basically become a kind of performance art.
He sets the stage so well. He describes this time when everyone identifies as something.
And the list he gives it's just perfect. It defines the whole satirical landscape he's building.
What's on it?
Okay, so people are identifying as flowers, as wolves, specific pronouns, of course, but then also clinical depression diagnoses.
And my personal favorite.
Artisanal oat milks.
Artisanal oat milks. It's brilliant. It perfectly captures that feeling of super specific, almost commodified identity.
Totally. He's asking, if identity is just whatever you declare it to be, where is the line? Does a line even exist anymore?
So the narrator says he stands, and I'm quoting him here, courageously at the intersection of insanity and carbohydrates.
But, before he actually lands on cannibalism, he lets us know he considered a more conventional identity.
Right. He was thinking about identifying as a Democrat.
And his reason for rejecting it, that's what sets the extreme moral framing for the whole rest of the piece.
Okay, so here's the pivot. And this is where Pastor John, let's be clear, he pulls zero punches.
Not at all.
He says he rejected being a Democrat because, quote, I was going to identify as a Democrat, but then I remembered they kill babies. And honestly, that felt a little dark, even for me.
And boom, there it is. Right out of the gate, he uses this incredibly charged political comparison to set his own, let's say, warped moral compass.
The satire is forcing you, the listener, to deal with this premise. If you accept certain political acts, why draw the line here at cannibalism?
Exactly. By framing a standard polarizing political position as darker than eating an adult human, he's basically suggesting that consistency is the only moral currency that's left.
It's pure shock value, calculated shock.
So yeah, finding Democrats too murky for his tastes, he lands on cannibalism.
But he's not just any cannibal. He's very clear about this.
Oh, he has standards.
He says, I'm not a monster, I'm a cannibal. There's a difference.
And this is key to the satire. He introduces this, strange internal moral code to his identity.
Right.
He argues that if he's going to join a movement that's, in his view, dedicated to devouring the innocent, he insists they at least be fully grown.
The specifics of what fully grown means are just unsettlingly hilarious.
They really are.
His preferred victims have to have 401ks. They need to have student debt.
And the best part,
The ability to season themselves appropriately.
it's that blend of high finance and absolute horror. It's such an effective tool. He's not eating just anyone. He's eating a fully participating, responsible member of society.
And that focus on maturity, on their, mileage, lets him claim the moral high ground. He calls himself the last morally consistent identity on Earth.
Okay, let's unpack that. That claim of consistency is the engine of the entire piece.
Right. He frames himself as the reasonable moderate, caught between two extremes he doesn't like.
The first extreme, vegans. He says they won't eat anything that has a face.
Simple enough.
Yeah.
The second extreme, Democrats. He says they won't let anything develop a face.
So in his bizarre logic, the cannibal becomes the sensible middle path.
The middle of the road, reasonable, moderate.
Right, because he waits. He waits until the face has adult wrinkles, crow's feet, maybe even a mortgage.
Which leads to the punchline of his whole ethical framework.
Yeah.
He only eats a consenting adult.
And there it is. The source is taking our society's intense focus on things like consent and due process and applying it to a fundamentally evil act.
It makes you ask what happens when a moral framework cares more about the procedure than about, basic rules like don't kill people.
Precisely. He's satirizing the idea that if we can just wrap enough legal or social procedure around something questionable, we can redefine it as moral.
So once he's got his disgusting but internally consistent moral framework setup. The piece then shifts to how this identity gives him like immediate social and legal immunity. And this is where it gets really sharp.
Yeah, the premise here is that in the world he's describing, self-identification is basically an unbreachable shield.
So he lays out the perks. First, no one can question his identity.
Why not?
Because that's illegal now. Second, no one can disagree with him.
Because
That's violence. The critique is so clearly aimed at how the definition of words like violence has expanded, maybe to the point of shutting down any debate.
And the final piece of the shield is the social one, the ultimate trump card. No one can stop him.
Because, as he says, my truth is sacred, and if you oppose it, that makes you a bigot who hates culinary diversity.
Culinary diversity, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole game right there.
It is.
He's taking the very real language developed to protect marginalized people and applying it to a monstrous identity. The suggestion is that the language of inclusion can itself be twisted to shield anything from judgment.
And that redefinition is everything. Cannibalism is no longer a crime.
It's a cuisine.
Once it's a cuisine, who are you to judge? He literally asks, who are you to tell me I can't saute a taxpayer?
It's a challenge to the idea that any self-declared truth is automatically sacred. It asks who gets to draw the lines in a culture that seems to be rejecting objective truth altogether.
And to make the satire complete, to really seal the deal, this new identity has to be validated by the cultural establishment.
Of course, enter the academic world.
We get introduced to the mockumentary's expert witness, Dr. Penelope Thistlesworth III,
Professor of Culinary Gender Studies.
at the University of Wokeland.
You can't make it up. Well, he did. It's a perfect caricature of these, hyper-specialized academic fields.
And Dr. Thistlesworth's analysis is just a masterpiece of satirical jargon. She explains that cannibals are, in fact, the most marginalized community in America.
And the reason for their marginalization is the absolute core of Pastor John's critique here.
Right.
They've been oppressed by archaic biblical norms like thou shalt not murder, which is hateful.
And that's the payoff. The author is suggesting that if you set out to dismantle all traditional norms, you eventually get to a point where even fundamental moral laws can be framed as oppressive.
To call thou shalt not murder a hateful form of oppression, that's the final absurd step in dissolving any shared moral reality.
It's a cynical take for sure, but it leads the narrator to his final, triumphant statement.
Which is?
I don't make the rules, I just eat the people who made them.
It's horrifying, but it's consistent with everything he said.
It is. So, after this whole journey, Pastor John boils it all down. He gives us 3 core lessons that he claims modern culture has taught him about reality itself.
Okay, so the first lesson is about truth.
Truth is defined by utility. His line is, truth is whatever keeps your therapist employed.
Wow. So reality is just measured by what makes you feel validated, not by objective facts.
Exactly. The second one is about morality.
Morality is defined by loyalty. Morality is whatever your party approves.
That one hits hard. It's a direct shot at partisan politics, the idea that ethics just get outsourced to your tribe.
Yeah. And the third definition, the one that powers the whole satire.
Identity is defined by visibility.
Identity is whatever gets the most likes.
And that's the ultimate critique of our performance culture, isn't it? That an identity's value isn't based on truth, but on how well it plays online.
These 3 points really sum up his whole argument. And it all culminates in the narrator's final self-description.
He says, call me crazy, call me twisted, call me a satirical fever dream in a collapsing republic, but at least I'm consistent.
That consistency is the whole point. It's his sad final commentary.
And then the final line, which brings us right back to the beginning.
He says, I don't kill babies. I just slow cook adults in a Dutch oven like a gentleman.
It just hammers that theme home one last time. The whole piece is asking where moral consistency has gone.
Right. If you accept the premise that identity can literally redefine reality, then the cannibal's extreme position becomes, in a weird way, the only internally consistent one left.
So if we step back from the satire for a second, we're left with a really provocative question that builds on this. If identity is whatever gets the most likes, and if you're not allowed to question someone's self-identified truth, how long can a society really maintain the boundary between crime and cuisine?
That is the question. At what point does the line between a genuinely marginalized community that needs protection and a satirical fever dream designed to expose an ideology's endpoint?
Yeah.
At what point does that line get erased by the very language we created to protect people?
A deeply unsettling question to end on. And a hilariously crafted piece of satire.
It really is.
Thank you for joining us for this discernment drop. We hope it gives you something to think about and maybe laugh about, nervously. Go forth and reflect on what boundaries you believe are truly unassailable.